ごめんよ彼。君たち親子にもう用はなくなった。ロバートという仮面も今夜限り。結婚、人並みの幸せ、そんなものへの執着はスパイとなった非身分証とともに処分した。
Spy Family, or Spy X Family, is a comedy slice-of-life show that follows a newly formed pretend-to-be family. In this family, everyone has their secrets and motivations for why they'd want these new relationships to succeed. The father, working under the alias Lloyd Forger, is a top-class spy sent by a foreign government to track down a politician by the name of Donovan Desmond, with the goal going towards ensuring peace between two nations. The said politician has disappeared from the public eye and can only be seen attending social gatherings at the school his sons go to. The only way to gain access to the social gatherings in this prestigious school is to have a child attending it, which is why our protagonist, also going by the codename Twilight, is given a mission to acquire a wife and a daughter so he could infiltrate the said gatherings. This plot point, albeit convenient, works really well for setting up the plot for the story. This very unconventional mission leads him to an orphanage in which he was hoping to find the most intelligent kid out of the ones available. As for entering the very prestigious school Donovan's children go to, you need to pass an entrance exam, among other things. This leads us to our next main character, Anya, who just so happens to be an Esper, a mind reader. She then proceeds to trick Lloyd by copying the answers floating around in his head to convince him that she is very much advanced for her age. This leads to him adopting her immediately and finding them an apartment to stay in. Only later does Lloyd realize that a wife is required as well, since for them to pass the entrance interview in the school, both parents have to be present. This is once again a very convenient plot point, but again it works really well. When visiting a tailor shop for Anya's school uniform, they meet Yor, who just so happens to be shopping there at that time. She also has a secret of her own, a darker one than the others. She's an assassin. And it just so happens that she's also looking for someone to play the role of her significant other to not alert suspicion as to why she's still not married at her age. As she has both a day and a dangerous night job, she doesn't have time for dating. And so they agree to be a pretend couple, for both of their sakes and without knowing the true reasons and nature of this arrangement.
辞める時も悲しみの時もどんな困難が訪れようとも共に助けよう。
はい。
任務が
殺しが続く限り。
Naturally, this is wonderful news for Anya, as she now has parents that will take care of her instead of rotting in the orphanage. And with that, we have our plot very well set up 2 episodes in. Without touching the spoilers for the rest of the show, it succeeds for not only having a very original idea for the plot, but also for the great execution. The main characters are very likable and work very well off of each other. Lloyd is a serious, well-calculated individual that cares about the well-being of the world, which is why he executes all his missions with perfection, no matter how many of them he gets burdened with, and no matter how hard or impossible some may seem. But he also has a very soft side. He cares about Anya's happiness and well-being and goes a step further than the mission might require. Yor might be a dangerous assassin, but you would never notice that without knowing, apart from her occasional bursts of strength. She also cares deeply about Anya, and while she is pretty useless in a household environment, she does her best and plays the role of a loving mother with top grades. Anya is the star of the show. Everything revolves around her. She can be selfish but also considerate. She would do everything to make this fake marriage work and tries to help Lloyd in his mission to the best of her ability. Her very animated expressions and reactions really add to the comedy of the whole thing. My personal favorite episode is the 4th one, in which the family is invited to the mentioned school interview. It shows the best of the absolutely absurd situations they find themselves in. also introducing one of the best side characters in Anya's future homeroom teacher, who strives for and gets a bit too excited about elegance. It also deepens the character bonds between one another and showcases the depth of their emotion. After the 4th episode, the show starts to stagnate a little bit, with some filler episodes being just okay and Anya's school life being less interesting, absurd or funny than the family life and mission assignments. It also ends pretty suddenly, which is, I guess, fine since the 2nd season is right around the corner, but usually I'd like for a season to close some plot point or a chapter of something for me to see it as a season. And I don't think that's the case here. Still, the show has a lot of variety, it can be hilarious when it wants to, and it can be wholesome when it wants to. It oozes with charm, and I cannot wait for the 2nd season to hopefully not only show more of the same, but also elevate it to the next level. Until then, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, and I would gladly rewatch it in the future.
ではそういうことで失敬。